Not live from both of our respective rooms, not on a couch. This is the Casual Couch Critics!
Yo, what's going on? We're back, episode 5. Just like we promised last week. We got the momentum rolling. 2024, new year, new us. My name's Jarrett, as always, with my co-host, Zach. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and I just want to give a shout out to last episode. We had 8 subscribers. Now we have 9. So to that one new subscriber, thank you. Welcome.
They might really like ducks or Aquafina in bird roles.
Aquafina in bird movies, yeah. I will just say, anybody who watched this, feel free to comment below. We would love to say hello to you. But if you just want to be a secret viewer and we want to be maybe we're like that dirty little secret of oh no, I watched the Casual Couch Critics, don't tell anyone. Well, that's okay.
It's because we're not actually critics, so people might not want to say they listen to us.
It's true. We're so casual.
We're too casual.
Yeah.
But anyway, Zach, the exciting episode today.
Yeah.
Something, again, that was a bit delayed because of our personal stuff, but we're going to be doing just an overview of the 2024 year. And you and I in the past, we've kind of looked at the movie slate before we made this podcast just at the beginning of the year, and we would make bets on different movies. So I thought we'd do a similar thing. We'd just kind of scroll through the release schedule, kind of talk about what we're seeing in 2024. And yeah, we'll make some awards or predictions that we want to give out. I don't know what we're going to call our awards, the couchies or the we have a year to figure that out.
Yeah.
But, I figured that would be a good way to kind of get us acclimated to the new year. Obviously, a few things have come out, although January's kind of the dead month of movies. But so we missed a couple. Okay, so I'm sorry to The Beekeeper and to Mean Girls, which Zach did see. So maybe
I don't apologize to Mean Girls. They stole that time.
Maybe we'll do a Mean Girls episode. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, apologies that we were a week late. Yeah. So that's just how it goes. So Zach, just looking before we dive in, 2024, obviously, it's impacted a lot by the writer strikes, by the actor strikes of last year. So even now, distributing companies are announcing new release dates. They're actively moving. So really, what we might look at and what we might pick for our awards, maybe we'll do a mulligan sometime in the summer or something. We'll see, depending on the impact, because it's so continuously moving now that they can remarket the movies. In 2023, that was a big year, big name directors getting their movies out after the pandemic delays. So when you look at 2024, I guess, Zach, are you feeling like maybe we're going into a little bit of a slump just on a high level, or do you think we're going to be in for a good year of movies?
You know what? I do think the box office takes a bit of a dip this year, just because of the strikes, the writer strike, the actor strike. But I still think it's going to be a good year for moviegoers. I think there's some fun movies to come out, grab a popcorn and some candy and a pop and, have a great time at your movie theater.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, I guess, is, event cinema obviously is what's driving box office sales. So hopefully some of those blockbusters can keep getting their release dates pushed up. Mm-hmm. But I think it'll be a good year. I think we'll have some fun.
Yeah.
And because we have a whole year to cover, I figure we just dive right in.
Let's go.
The 2024 preview as of January, whatever, middle of January.
20th, January 20th,
So,
2020.
just so you guys know, Zach and I are Canadian. If you haven't listened before, we're doing the Canadian release schedule.
Yeah.
So I apologize if you're listening in some other country and these movies they might be coming out earlier, they might be coming out later. And as I said before, they might not come out at all, or they might come out 3 months earlier. I don't know. But we're gonna kind of dive in, just discuss high level some titles that pique our interest, and then we'll do our award predictions at the end of the episode. Sound good?
Sounds great.
So, I mean, January, we've had, like I said, we had Mean Girls, much to your chagrin. It won the box office. We have the Beekeeper, Jason Statham movie. We have Night Swim. I know several people who saw that horror movie, and it turns out Night Swim not very good. I probably could have told you that going into that. Those are probably our biggest January releases. But February 2nd is when we get Argyle. Now, this is probably the first blockbuster of the year, I'd say. It's Matthew Vaughn, who did the Kingsman movies and X-Men First Class. He's known for really kind of having an eye for, slapstick comedy, but also like integrating it into his action sequences. And this one's got a lot of stars. Henry Cavill's in it, Bryce Dallas Howard, John Cena, Samuel Jackson, and it's about an introverted spy novelist drawn into the activities of a sinister underground syndicate. So I could definitely see this being the first really box office success of the year. There's not a whole lot going on around it. I will say the trailer, I'm not sold 100% on it.
Really?
Yeah.
For me, again, this movie, I knew about it, but it wasn't on my radar. The trailer did its job of putting it on my radar. Not that it was an amazing trailer, but like it was enough to get me like, oh yeah, I want to go see this movie.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't want him to just make like, I guess my one worry for this movie is it's just a Kingsman in a different skin kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did you watch The Kingsman at all?
I don't think I did. No.
It wasn't very good, but they're making a sequel. So anyway, that's probably our biggest one for then. But then we got Valentine's Day weekend. It's a big weekend. Bob Marley, One Love coming out with Adam Webb coming out the same weekend. Bob Marley obviously continues our trend of musical artist biopics that have been dominating Hollywood for the past, 6 to 8 years. This is just the most recent one. It looks good. It looks like the same as any other movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we need to spend too much time on it. Obviously, Kingsley Ben-Adir has been an upcoming actor quite a bit. He was in the Marvel Secret Invasion show, and you could definitely see him kind of like coming into his own, but that show wasn't very good, so it didn't help things. So, seems like a good time for a Valentine's Day release. Or everyone goes to see Madam Web, which I know maybe your most anticipated movie of the year.
It's growing on me to the point of, I was like, why are they even making that movie? But it's grown on me to a point of, okay, this might be better than I think it will be, which I have very low expectations for it. I did see that it was discovered this past week that it's going to be like the Sony Marvel movie's longest movie, like since the first Venom movie. So
Okay.
if you're going to see this movie, make sure you go to the bathroom beforehand, grab your popcorn, because it's going to be a bit of a longer movie.
So, interesting thing about this, and I think we might have alluded to it the last episode, but Sony has 3 superhero movies coming out this year, which will cover them all as we go down the list. And the MCU only has 1. So that's pretty crazy.
This is the world we live in.
So, obviously, Madam Web, it's always already been the subject of memes from the trailer and terrible dialogue. I will say, more than like Morbius, I feel like I want to check this out. Like Morbius, I just kind of felt like I don't want to check this out.
Yeah.
But this is like, okay, maybe, but it still looks pretty bad.
You know what? As long as I'm able to, I'll go opening night to see it.
It's because you like movies.
I do like the movies.
Yeah. But we'll see the next 2 Sony movies eventually on this as we continue. But those are 2 big releases, kind of mid-February. I am curious if Argyle will maintain its box office over these 2 movies.
Well, and it has to compete with Super Bowl weekend too, right?
Yeah.
So that's not traditionally a good weekend to release it or to expect a box office.
You're right. And some of these are limited releases, and we're not going to cover everything. If anything, we'll dedicate individual episodes if we need to over the course of the year. But big news recently on the March 1st release. Dune Part 2 got moved up. It is now the very beginning of March. Very anticipated movie. Was supposed to come out last November. Due to the strikes, they moved it. So it's been about 2.5 years since the last one. Biggest movie of the year? What do you think?
Potentially. It is the movie I am most excited about for this year. I'm so glad that I don't have to wait, till like next December to watch it, because I've been wanting to see this movie since I saw the first one. And I remember when when the first one ended, just being like, I'm so unsatisfied, but I love that movie. So I'm ready for this one. I think it's gonna be a really great movie, and it's gonna be interesting because the first Dune movie came out during like the pandemic, and had that going against it. It still like had enough people go see it in the theaters, and then I think it's done really well on streaming afterwards. So I'm really curious, is this going to be like a situation where, all these people have seen it like at home, but then we kind of get a surprise box office weekend there? And, I'm really excited for this movie. I think a lot of people are. Anyone that I've talked to that's seen the first Dune movie, they're like, oh, I'm all about Dune Part 2, right?
Yeah, something about the first Dune is, and as someone who's read the books, it's a dense source material, and it's not as accessible to go into as, say, like Star Wars or something, right? There's a lot more politics, a lot more to dive into there if you want to. Obviously, there's the action surface level stuff, but I remember the time, like, it took a month at the box office before the studio greenlit Part 2, because definitely word of mouth helped its success. As people kept seeing it, it was like, oh, this is really good. I actually remember I was in the theater with my wife and father-in-law watching it, and the guy behind us was like, man, I'm just here for Zendaya. I have no idea what this movie's about. And then Zendaya only sorry, spoilers. She's only in the like 5 minutes of total throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And when she shows up at the very end, he goes, "Finally," and then the credits roll, and he was not a very happy man. Hopefully, this guy is much happier for
That's
Dune Part 2. Yeah, because he only went to Dune for Zendaya. And I've always thought of that man because he was incredibly disappointed by a great movie because he was there for one person and
No
she
kidding.
wasn't. Yeah, so
Well, that is interesting that like he came for one. You hope he would have came for Zendaya, but stayed for the actual really good movie.
he
That
stayed
is.
all the way to the end because he was waiting for Zendaya. So I can tell if you are listening, that one guy behind us 2.5 years ago at a Guelph Cineplex. Zendaya will be in this for more than 5 minutes. I guarantee that.
You guarantee it? Okay.
I guarantee it.
If she's not, will you let me post on your social media?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Deal.
how confident I am.
Deal.
But yeah, 2 hours and 46 minutes is the current slated runtime for this, which is pretty similar, I think, to the first one, to be honest. But
yeah. I just give me those sandworms.
I think there's going to be a lot of those too.
Yep.
So it's got a couple weeks of leeway before the next big thing, March 22nd. Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. Kind of the second movie of the most recent one, whose name is escaping me, but I did watch it. Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's
right.
what it is. Paul Rudd's in it. Carrie Coon's in it. A bunch of kids are in it. I liked Afterlife a lot because it was in a different setting. It wasn't in New York. And I thought they executed the setting really well. And then at the end of the movie, it just felt like they reverted all the way back.
Yeah.
And it kind of turned me off. And this one seems to be right back, kind of doing the same cookie cutter style. I'm a little less excited for this one, but I'm still intrigued because I like the cast of the first one.
To me, not that I didn't like Afterlife. I thought it was a good film, but I do think this is a studio trying to squeeze as much toothpaste out of the tube as possible. And you know, if you have an IP that like Ghostbusters that does have, you know, a kind of embedded audience, you know, you're going to see that time and time again. But I'm not super excited for this movie. I'm going to go see it, but I wouldn't say that I'm like, if Dune is the movie I'm most excited for this year, Ghostbusters is dramatically less hype for.
Fair enough. Comes out same week. I don't think the American Society of Magical Negroes is getting a wide release, but I could be mistaken. But Arthur the King definitely is.
Yeah.
And you probably won't like this movie because it's about a dog.
It's about a dog?
Arthur's the dog, I believe.
Oh, pet movies.
Yeah, so Mark Wahlberg gets a dog, helps him out.
I don't know anything about this movie. Like that's funny. Okay.
Yeah. So that weekend definitely loaded.
Yeah.
In terms of releases, everything kind of being pushed to the end of the month because of how Dune arranged itself.
Yeah, they're scared of it.
They are.
They fear it.
March 29th. Big movie.
Hey.
For the first big animated release of the year.
Yeah.
After Poe is tapped to become the spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace, he needs to find and train a new dragon warrior. While a wicked sorceress plans to resummon all of the master villains who Poe has vanquished.
This sounds so fun.
Now, what do you see here when you look at the screen?
Oh no.
Aquafina is in Kung Fu Panda 4. I don't know if she's a bird.
She's gonna be a bird. She's gonna be a bird. Oh.
I'm gonna be terribly upset if she's not a bird.
I have to look this up right now.
The Kung Fu Panda 4, it's been a while since the third movie. The third movie came out in 2016, so it's been 8 full years. And the end of the third definitely felt like the end of a chapter closing. I think it's an underrated trilogy. Obviously, it has the DreamWorks humor, but there's definitely some depth, specifically in the first 2 movies. And they do their villains really well. And I saw a comment on the director that 5 and 6 aren't necessarily confirmed, but depending on how well Kung Fu Panda 4 does, will dictate that. So looks like they're gearing up for a second half of a franchise kind of thing. And they haven't made a bad one yet. So
yeah.
And the cast is good, and the writers seem to know how to make Kung Fu Panda an interesting concept.
But there's one huge flaw with this movie.
Is she not a bird?
She's not a bird.
What is she?
She's like a fox or a weasel.
Maybe she flies.
Maybe.
But she's a flying weasel.
That's probably my number one concern about this movie is Awkwafina is not playing a bird
or
character.
She is trying to branch out and get some range.
I could be other animals too.
She was a spider in The Bad Guys.
It's true. She's been other, but like they really haven't been the same level of her bird role.
It's true. That I can't deny that. But I'm definitely looking forward to this. March looking like a really good month.
Yeah. Go March.
So there's that. Now that obviously because of a loaded back end of March, first couple weeks, you got there's a drama, there's a horror movie, and then there's something I know Zach's going to be in the front row.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm not a front row movie guy. I'm not one of those, but I'll be there.
You're going to be not even in the front row. You're going to be standing an inch from the screen, not even comprehending what's going on. Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire.
Let's go.
Releases April 12th, 2024.
Yeah.
2 ancient titans, Godzilla and Kong, clash in an epic battle as humans unravel the intertwined origins and connections to Skull Island's mysteries. So you definitely could tell from the trailer, looks like to be, Scar King, I think is the villain's name, right? So it's going to be like a Kong villain. So a bit more Kong-centric movie with Godzilla helping him out, it looks like. I just finished the Monarch series on Apple. The effects are very well done. The acting was suspect by some people. It deviated from some interesting things at times, but you could definitely tell they were trying to connect all the movies. I think if you like the lore and stuff, it's an interesting concept. I wouldn't necessarily give it a full recommendation, like a 6.5 out of 10. But this is a big deal because Godzilla versus Kong, that was I believe a direct-to-home video release.
No, it was in theaters.
Was it in theaters?
I saw it in theaters. Yeah.
Okay. But it was definitely a pandemic-impacted movie.
Yeah, it definitely was. But yeah.
So hopefully this one does really well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the success of Godzilla -1, which we talked about last month on this show. Godzilla's in demand.
Yeah, I'm here for it. And I'll just say this. I loved Godzilla versus Kong so much. It's by no means this incredible story or something, but sometimes it's just nice to see 2 giant CGI monsters fighting each other. And then there's a villain.
Well, this one looks like they're fighting together.
And they fought, spoiler, they fought together at the end of the first one to face Mechagodzilla. And I'm here for it. I eat that stuff up. Like 2 rivals become friends to battle a common foe. Let's go.
Yeah.
I still do stand by like Godzilla running in the trailer looked really weird for that movie.
Yeah, there's definitely some CGI concerns,
Yeah,
but I think it will do well.
I just want to see it. So.
I think it's got a lot of momentum because of Godzilla Minus One and Monarch. I think
Okay,
it's
so
well timed.
just so people know, Dune 2 level of hype, like right up here. Lower my hand just a little bit. Godzilla times Kong, right here.
Godzilla times Kong.
Godzilla times Kong.
Yeah. April 26th. So Civil War is coming out, Alex Garland's movie. I'm not a big Alex Garland guy. Kirsten Dunst is in this, Jesse Plemons. A lot of actors I like. Alex Garland, obviously known for Ex Machina and Annihilation, just tend to find, as beautiful as his movies are shot, he definitely doesn't. He makes the messages of his movies pretty blatant on the screen. But I do know there's a big uh, anticipation for this movie specifically. Challengers. This is a tennis drama romance movie with Zendaya.
Is that Zendaya in a threesome? I think that's pretty much what everyone's calling this movie.
Yeah. So Zendaya guy might be happy with this one as well.
Yeah.
But definitely a bit of a, after a kind of a heavy 2-month blockbuster run, just some, I guess, palate cleansers in a way for the box office. See something different. Unsung Hero, I don't know what that is about personally, but
it's a drama film. Interesting.
May 3rd, Fall Guy, I believe is. I thought at first this was a Netflix movie, but I don't think it is. It's by David Leitch, who has done a lot of movies of late: Bullet Train, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2. So he's definitely an up and coming big, or I don't think he's up and coming. He's definitely one of the past 5 years in Hollywood biggest action directors. And this guy, obviously, Ryan Gosling's riding high off of his last movie, Barbie, which is definitely one of the best performances of the year. We'll see how that goes during award season, but Emily Blunt's also in this movie. It's about, I believe, Ryan Gosling's a stunt guy who left the business to focus on his health, and then he is asked to come back by his ex to do, which is Emily Blunt, to be the stunt guy in this movie, but then she goes missing and antics ensue. I wasn't sold by the trailer particularly, but I like Emily Blunt, I like Ryan Gosling, Aaron Taylor Johnson. I liked Bullet Train and all of his other movies, so I'm willing to give this a shot.
I'll go see this movie in theaters. Yep.
Yeah, and definitely Ryan Gosling's kind of leading into that action comedy style role, which he was kind of teetering between dramatic and romantic comedy for a while. So it's interesting to kind of see that pivot for him. May 17th. It's not called If, it's Imaginary Friends, but they just have titled it If. About a girl. It's by John Krasinski, notably from Jim from The Office, who did the Quiet Place movies. This is his kind of family-friendly movie about a girl who can see discarded imaginary friends after people have grown up. And Ryan Reynolds is being Ryan Reynolds in it, it looks like. And I believe like there's a lot of voices in it. It says you can see Steve Carell's name here on IMDb, but I believe he just got a lot of his friends to voice the imaginary friends.
Just like
So-
everyone from The Office.
I think there's quite a few, like, there's going to be quite a few voices. Aquafina is a voice in this. So
If she's an imaginary bird friend, I tell
she
you,
definitely is.
she's a-
We are a pro Aquafina bird show.
yeah.
Did you see this trailer?
Mm-mm. I have
I
not.
didn't get sold on it, partly because of Ryan Reynolds. My Ryan Reynolds, fatigue is starting to set in. I'm not gonna lie. But I like John Krasinski,
Yeah, you do.
and I think I'm interested to see kind of how this works, even if I'm not initially sold on it. So
Wait, is John Krasinski directing this?
yeah, he directed and wrote it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go see this.
And I believe
yeah.
he's starring in this one too,
That's really cool. Okay, I respect that.
like he did for the first Quiet Place.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I did not. This movie was not on my radar. I'm gonna watch the trailer after we are done recording.
And you probably should see it that weekend because it's going to get blown out the next weekend. Maybe the biggest weekend of the year, May 24th, which I believe is the long weekend. Mega weekend for the box office. Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, finally. I believe Mad Max Fury Road, that was 2015. Yep, 2015, 9 years. So this is the prequel of Charlize Theron's Furiosa character. Charlize Theron is not in this as Furiosa, and yeah, Taylor-Joy is young Furiosa, and Chris Hemsworth looks unrecognizable in all his practical makeup, but it just looks crazy, like all Mad Max movies do. I think it's probably going to beat Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which also comes out. Unexpected movie when it was initially announced because they really capped the modern Planet of the Apes trilogy really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is several years after Caesar passes away. And kind of what the world looks like now. Freya Allen, notably, she's in the Witcher Netflix series, is the actress lead in this. And Wes Ball, who hasn't directed anything since 2018, but he did all the Maze Runner movies.
I love those movies.
So he definitely knows his way around kind of the fantasy aspects for sure. I'm definitely interested to see how this holds up because there's no Andy Serkis in this, who pretty much carried those three movies a decade ago on his back because he was just so outstanding. But I like that we're still exploring the world, so I hope it's a success. It's competing with, like I said, Furiosa, and the Garfield movie is coming out that same weekend, which, a lot of kids won't be going to see Mad Max or Planet of the Apes, so it makes sense for Garfield on the long weekend. Chris Pratt, notably, is Garfield, just like he is Mario.
We just can't get Chris Pratt's voice out of our movies, can we?
We can't. I don't think Aquafina's in this one, but maybe she'll do a cameo or something.
Okay, we need a bird movie with Aquafina, and then Chris Pratt needs to be like, I guess he's been Garfield. He's been like the Lego movie guy.
Yeah.
Mario. Yeah, okay.
He's diverse in his.
Yeah. He's
as long as it's the lead character.
Yeah. Then,
so something I was surprised by in the Garfield movie trailer, and that I didn't know at the time, was that Samuel Jackson's playing his dad, and that is just bizarre. So
let's go. Okay.
This might be my flop of the year. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see how Garfield.
We'll
Do
see.
you think it's gonna be like Emoji Movie level flop?
No, I can't. I don't know what studio is doing this. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be emoji level flop, but it's going to be tough, I think. It's going to be tough.
Take a guess. What studio do you think is making that?
Well, I was going to say Illumination's kind of doing all of this, but I don't think they are.
This movie is by... I want to see... Sorry, it's like to the internet. What studio? So you're guessing Illumination?
I don't think it's right, though.
Sony.
All right.
Yeah. Sony Animation. Okay, interesting.
Let's see. And that concludes May, which is really big.
Yeah, big.
So June 7th. No trailer has come out for this, although I think we're gonna get a lot of trailers Super Bowl weekend in a couple weeks as usual. But Ballerina is currently slated. This is the John Wick spinoff. The Ballerina is notably from John Wick 2. I believe Ana de Armas is the lead role, and got potential. I'll be curious to see if it can maintain the box office over the previous weekend's releases, for sure. June 14th, the first Pixar movie, new Pixar movie release, I should say, because Pixar did re-release Soul, Luca, and Turning Red because they all had straight to Disney Plus releases during the pandemic, and they've kind of been spaced out over the first 6 months. But Inside Out 2 on June 14th, 2024. Now, I will say, Inside Out, probably one of my favorite Pixar movies of all time. Really underrated, I think, in people's Pixar rankings. I was pretty hesitant when I found out that they were making a sequel, but the trailer looks pretty good. And even though I don't really like how Pixar's kind of branched into just sequel making territory the past couple of years, I think this is going to be a good movie.
Yeah, you know what? The word that comes to mind is quirky, like that I got from the trailer. It looks like a really quirky movie. And I think the first Inside Out was a very quirky movie, and that's the way they leaned into that quirkiness was kind of why I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and when I'm here for Inside Out too.
Yeah, I think it will do really well. June 21st, definitely favorite of the program.
Yep.
We talked about the first episode when it was discarded and left for dead, but I believe Focus Features picked it up. It's the Bike Riders.
Yeah.
Interesting. It was originally slated for the December release, and then it was scrapped and resold, and so now it's a summer release. So it's not going to get all the awards momentum that maybe initially this movie was made for. But if you want to hear our thoughts on our movie and the trailer, you can definitely check out our very first episode, which this was spotlighted. But I think we're both looking forward to this. Both looks good. I'm glad it's coming up sooner than we thought if it was going to be picked up. Yeah. But it makes sense because it's completely finished. So why would it? June 28th, Quiet Place, Day One. This is a prequel. I don't think John Krasinski isn't coming back for this one to direct. He did the Imaginary Friends one instead. I think this will be a big hit because a lot of people are always interested in how the aliens or whatever actually get to Earth and that concept. And the scene in the second Quiet Place really was like the scene stealing moment when it did like a quick flashback to that. And then interesting experiment that is coming out is Horizon, an American saga, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, directed and starring by Kevin Costner, who's fully embraced his cowboy with the success of Yellowstone and everything else. He's been in Westerns for a while now, but
I'll just say this. I surprisingly know a lot of people who would say that like Kevin Costner is one of their, if not their favorite actor.
yeah.
And like, I wouldn't put him as my favorite, but like, I like him and he's a great actor. But I just think it's so funny that like, here's this movie coming out where he's starring, he's directing. And I think all the Costner lovers out there are just gonna be like, oh, movie of the year. And this could be a surprise hit.
Well, so Chapter 1's coming out the end of June, and then the Chapter 2 is coming out middle of August.
Cool.
So kind of doing an experiment type thing.
That is an experiment.
Back to back within 2 months. I wish kind of the Spider-Verse movies did that.
Yeah.
And I do like the phrasing of chapter rather than part.
Yeah.
Because to me, it sounds like, I believe the first one's like pre-Civil War and the second one might be post-Civil War. So maybe that's why. But it feels like there's more closure, right? I know you and I have talked before when we just part ones are often left open-ended.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes away from that movie as an individual.
Yeah.
So if they can bookend it, I would love it. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely looking forward to this. Been a while since we had some successful classic Western movies. July 14th, Bad Boys 4. Nothing's come out about this.
Yeah.
Will
Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I'm not excited. Unfortunately. We'll see. But that's where it's currently put.
I wonder if they make some sort of joke about Will Smith slapping someone.
Yeah, I think he might just try to avoid all that.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? I'm almost more interested in like the media cycle of that movie, like getting Will Smith to promote a film because he's just going to get asked about it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There's always a Storm B movie that comes out during the summer. Twisters, I believe, is a remake or a spin-off of the infamous Twister movie from the 90s.
I remember that movie. That was a good movie. It's
got Glenn Powell in it, from Top Gun Maverick, who's, I believe he's in a romantic comedy, Somebody Like Us or something like that. That's out right now. That's doing pretty well.
Oh, yeah, that guy, yeah.
Yeah, so, he's definitely being grabbed for lots of things. This will probably have decent success, knowing B-movie Storm-centric movies in the summer. So, August 9th, not a lot has come out about this. I would expect a trailer for this during the Super Bowl. It's Borderlands based on the video games.
Interesting. Did not know this was coming. Wow.
It's got a big cast. Kate Blanchett notably is in it. Kevin Hart is in it. Jack Black is in it. Jamie Lee Curtis, etc., etc. Eli Roth is directing it, most notably for horror movies. So we'll see kind of how this goes, but definitely intrigued with what this looks like. Video game movies definitely getting a bit of a resurgence in terms of box office success.
Mm-hmm.
So
and like I never played the Borderlands video game, but I know a lot of people that have, and yeah, I think this could be one of those movies that it shows up in August, and people go see it, and then if it's good, probably gonna get strong word of mouth within the gamer community.
Yep. August 30th, our second Sony superhero villain movie of the year, Kraven the Hunter.
Here we go.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is starring as Kraven. Russell Crowe is in it. Boy, I don't know how I felt about this trailer either.
So here's the thing. It's the same feeling towards Madam Web with this movie, and it is because of Morbius. And I know that people will say, like, you have to get past Morbius. It was a bad movie, and that doesn't mean that Madam Web or Kraven the Hunter is going to be a bad movie. But like, it's still that stink in audience mouth, right? And so like, I think it's on Sony to make a good movie if they want.
Whoever does their trailers is not good.
Yeah, like they need to get a hit. They need to get a hit. Like the first Venom movie was a hit. It really was.
Yeah.
Second one was a solid follow up, but outside of those, like they need a hit. And with these 3 movies this year, if they all bomb at the box office, I don't know if we see many more of these.
I agree. Just checking. Okay. Yeah, so Kraven the Hunter. We'll see. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's good.
Yeah.
Just don't know how the movie will be. September. Sorry, what?
Just Kraven is also a character that, like, even in comics or like animation, has been hit or miss. Like sometimes you're like, oh man, this is such a cool, like, awesome villain. Yep. Other times you're like, okay, this guy's kind of dumb.
Yep. No, I agree. I will say the director of Kraven the Hunter is G.C. Chandor, and I have liked his movies in the past. He did stuff like Most Violent Year and Triple Frontier.
Okay.
So I actually think he has a good pedigree, so I'm hoping that this will translate.
There's hope. There's hope.
September 6th. Not sure why this is coming out September 6th. And not October, but it is Tim Burton's Beetlejuice 2.
That is such a weird time for it to come out.
Willem Dafoe, Winona Ryder, Michael Keaton's back, obviously. I don't think plot details have been announced yet, but it's a sequel to the original Beetlejuice that came out like late 80s. There will be an audience for this, 100%.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Tim Burton's kind of been hit or miss lately. Well, so this might be a return to form for him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because, like, September isn't traditionally a super great month to release a movie in.
Yeah, that's why I don't know why it isn't like Halloween or something.
Yeah, which would make more sense. So, but then again, there's literally no other competition that really for it.
No. Now there's nothing here for the Canada release in September other than Beetlejuice 2. I will say on my phone here, I have the US release. Transformers 1, which is a Cybertron animated prequel, is scheduled for the 13th.
Cool.
Scarlett Johansson, John Hamm, Chris Hemsworth are all voicing Lawrence Fishburne. Definitely could be good. I think a lot of people would say, yeah, Cybertron war would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Animation studio is definitely the way to do it. And hopefully it's good.
Yeah.
And that release date officially comes out. Okay, October 4th.
I'm so excited to talk about this.
The biggest release definitely of the month, unless Beetlejuice 2 moves, is Joker 2, Folie à Deux, which I believe is French.
Yep.
I think it means madness of two. It's, if anyone hasn't paid attention, so spoiler, Lady Gaga is in this as Harley Quinn to Joaquin Phoenix's Academy Award winning performance as Joaquin Phoenix. Zazie Beetz is returning. Brendan Gleeson is now in this one. Todd Phillips has returned as director. I struggled with the first Joker. I thought Joaquin Phoenix did a phenomenal job, but I think as a character, personally, Joker, what makes Joker Joker is his anarchy just for the sake of being.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to feel sympathy for him. I just don't feel like that's in the character of him.
Yeah.
This is a different iteration, obviously. This was an interesting idea, and obviously a massive hit.
Yeah.
Obviously intrigued to see Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie, as we all know, despite the DC EU shortcomings, has been a phenomenal Harley Quinn, and she's not necessarily done with that role in the new DC universe or whatever, but definitely this will be the second person ever to take on this role, right? So that's an intriguing facet of it. But yeah, give me your thoughts on Joker 2.
So the first Joker movie, I remember leaving it feeling disturbed, but like that's because of the way the movie was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I agree with you. I don't necessarily want to feel that, empathy towards the Joker. But I think that when I heard this movie was going to be a musical, no, at first when I heard it was getting a sequel, I was like, makes sense. It was a massive box office hit. Like even people like myself who were kind of disturbed by it and like acknowledged that it was a well-made movie. And then hearing it was a musical was like, okay, kind of interesting. And then hearing Lady Gaga was going to be Harley Quinn, I was like, I guess that makes sense. I think what is going to make or break this movie is the chemistry between Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. And like, if Harley Quinn and Joker don't have that on-screen chemistry, the audience immediately go like, oh yeah, like their relationship somehow makes sense because it's so messed up and chaotic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like this movie, I think could be, a kind of a letdown. But we'll see. I'll go see it. And I hope it's a good one.
Yeah. October 18th, probably most notable is Smile 2. I never saw the first Smile, but they did a terrific marketing campaign where they just had people smiling at sports games, and
Right.
I'm sure this is going to be the exact same thing. And I
Right.
believe that one was a moderate success box office wise. I don't know critically, but Smile 2. And the people smiling at sports games, I hope they got paid a lot because that would be really hard.
Okay. Yeah.
A couple of things, because it's our list here kind of skips to November 27th, but on my phone, Venom 3 is tentatively scheduled right now for November 8th.
No way. Okay.
So that's when it's supposed to come out. Again, kind of weird. I believe Let There Be Carnage came out around Halloween. So release date's kind of strange, but I did not like the second one. I thought it was pretty rushed, and I don't know. I just don't know what Sony's doing, to be honest. But
I'm just concerned that the third one, the villain's going to be Toxin, and we're just going to have another CGI symbiote fight, which, like, the first one was cool. The second one, kind of a mess. I still enjoyed it, but it was mess. Like, it wasn't as, I didn't like it as much as the first one. And I hope they really lean into, like, let's get Tom Hardy and Venom talking to each other, having that internal conflict, because that's what I really enjoyed about the first movie the most.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Also to note, November 15th, Red 1 looks like to be a Christmas movie. I don't know where or if it's getting a theatrical release, but it's got The Rock, it's got Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus.
Okay.
So my only hope is that it's not like a Red Notice 2. I hope there's at least a little bit of depth to, especially like a holiday story. You kind of want that. So anyway, that could be fun. Yeah. And currently slated, I have November 22nd is Gladiator 2.
No way! That's this year. Oh man.
So Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Paul Mescal, Connie Nielsen, Ridley Scott obviously returning to direct the hit from 2000. So
That's crazy.
Again, I know it's following Maximus's Sons, but nothing has come out as far as plot for that. But that could be a big movie.
Gladiator is the first Gladiator. That's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people's.
I knew that this movie was coming. I didn't realize it was coming this year. Wow.
Yeah. November 27th, Wicked. I believe this is part 1.
Okay.
This has been in the making for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Obviously a hit Broadway musical. Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande are in it. Notably Michelle Yeoh, Jeff Goldblum. I feel like it's just taken so long to come out.
It feels like literally like, was it a decade ago that they announced Ariana Grande and Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know if this one's for me, but hopefully with the amount of time they've taken, the quality shows up. Otherwise, this could be the bomb of the year.
I 100% disagree with that. I think there are the musical theater kids out there that love the musical Wicked. I think it has an embedded fan base. It may not be the box office hit of the year, but I absolutely think it has. We already know it has catchy music in it, so as long as that's done well, and then if it is good acting performances by the cast, I could see this movie doing really well, but I don't think it bombs.
We'll see. That's what I got for November. So now in the final
that's a solid November. Wow.
Final months, we got the animated Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim movie. This has been delayed multiple times due to different issues with marketing, writer's strike, etc. But it's like I don't believe it's connected in any way for the first time to our standard Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit story. It's kind of its own thing, specifically about Helm's Deep. So
I'm here for it. That's cool.
Yeah, interesting that we're kind of going to have kind of standalone animated Lord of the Rings and Transformers movies kind of on their own. So pretty interesting.
Go animation.
Movie that's close to your heart, Zach. Oh, I will say before we move to that, the Karate Kid multiverse movie is currently slated for the 13th with the Lord of the Rings as well.
Okay.
Obviously we talked about this on our first episode as well, the Karate Kid with Jackie Chan coming from the Jaden Smith movie with Ralph Macchio from the originals and Cobra Kai, kind of combining. And we weren't, and when they announced it was going to be this release date, we were a bit unsure, so we'll see if that sticks. But right now it's slated to open alongside The Lord of the Rings. So you could be in the movie theaters a long time that weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be my Barbenheimer this year.
Yeah. And then the next week, you're going to be right back in your chair.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3, December 20th, 2024. These are, I don't think we've talked about this on the show before. This is a series that we are fond of for reasons that are our own, just because Zach went to a movie premiere of the first Sonic and was given a gift bag of toothpaste and hand sanitizer, and
it was amazing.
It's pretty funny. So it's been, as to each their own of this series. We kind of hold it fondly just for our own personal jokes. So we're for sure going to be covering it.
Again, love this movie series because yes, the first Sonic movie that I got to see a press screening at, but Sonic 2, I enjoyed it as much as I did the first one, and I think that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 has a chance to be the best of the trilogy.
So I think it has potential because, okay, spoilers for a movie that's come out 2 years old. Shadow the Hedgehog is obviously going to be a big part of this one. My nervousness, or is just that Jim Carrey won't be in this one.
That is a concern.
You can definitely say he carried the first one.
Yep.
And elevated the second one.
Agreed. Yep.
Now, without him, will this series be okay? Now, I think you're right. It has potential.
Yeah.
But he was such a wrecking ball of a force in the first two movies. Even if you don't like the idea of Sonic, just watch it for Jim Carrey, because it's like Jim Carrey from the 90s has returned to be Dr. Eggman. So that, I would say, that would be my only, like, can they do it without him?
Yeah. No, and that's a very valid hesitation towards this movie. But, maybe it's one of those things is like, because Jim Carrey's not in it, it will give opportunities where, like, okay, we don't have to give Jim Carrey these one-liners or the chance to steal the show, and, like, other people can step up, right?
Yep. I will say also slated to open alongside the 20th. I feel like I've been pretty negative looking over 2024, but Mufasa, the Lion King prequel.
No way. Oh, that's the year. Okay.
Currently slated for this date.
Okay.
Obviously, we'll see. Barry Jenkins, the Academy Award winning director, he is doing this.
A great director, yeah.
We don't need this.
We don't need it, but that's a lot of movies that get made nowadays. This could be something.
That's a good word to use.
Something. It could be something.
So I guess here's my, I'm a big Lion King guy. I think it made our Disney Hall of Fame. It was an auto lock. Listen to that episode. It was a good time.
Great episode.
Here's the thing I like about Mufasa. His stoic and grandeur, but also humbleness, doesn't need to be explained to me in a prequel movie of how he gets. I don't want there to be a bratty Mufasa,
right,
who has to learn his lesson.
Yeah.
And little kid Scar is probably going to get his scar from Mufasa somehow. And
you literally that's totally going to happen.
It's going to over-explain everything.
Oh, watch he has a different name, but then he gets the scar because of something bad.
I believe that is actually happening.
And they change his name to Scar.
I think that actually is happening.
Did we just spoil the movie without even knowing what's going to happen in this movie?
No, I actually knew that. So Scar's name is Taka. Before he
Are you kidding me? Scar. Come on.
So, all I'm saying is, obviously everyone has faults, but I think a cool thing with Lion King is you're looking in the eyes of Simba, of this dad who's a phenomenal king, and I think that makes his death more impactful because you pretty much, through the eyes of Simba, think he's invincible. And I just don't want to then watch Mufasa and be like, Mufasa's an idiot.
Don't ruin the character.
Yeah. So
honestly, I feel like we just saw this movie without seeing this movie. Wow.
Yeah. But now we still have to see the movie.
Great.
Nosferatu is Robert Eggers' latest movie. It's going to be big. It's going to be a horror movie coming out on Christmas Day. Obviously, the infamous vampire. Aaron Taylor-Johnson could be having a big year.
Yeah, he's coming a lot this year.
He's in a lot of movies. William Dafoe, Nicholas Hoult, they're all good actors. Not necessarily for us per se, but that kind of caps off the 2024. I will say a couple movies that we didn't talk about because they keep shifting, but Deadpool 3 obviously is coming out, I believe, sometime in the summer. It just keeps moving. So any thoughts on Deadpool 3?
I'm not a fan of the Deadpool movies. They're not for me. The humor I acknowledge is funny, but it's not my humor. To be honest, I probably won't go see it. unless you really need me to. The Deadpool movies have not been for me.
Yeah, it could make or break the MCU.
That's where the MCU is because of the Deadpool movie.
Yeah, because obviously Hugh Jackman's returning. It's kind of the integration of the Fox characters, and they're gearing up for Secret Wars. So people don't buy in. I think it's the end, the official end. We're seeing the decline. It could be the end, or it could help it keep it afloat. More likely that than fail, but. Yeah. Other notable, there's supposed to be a new Alien movie coming out. Ridley Scott is not doing it. Obviously, he's doing Gladiator 2. That's supposed to come out sometime during the year. I would think probably a late summer release. Despicable Me 4, we talked about that last week. I would expect that to come out sometime in the summer as well. That's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
And that, I think, covers 2024.
Wow.
At a bird's eye view, obviously subject to change.
Yeah.
But definitely. I definitely was more, cautious than I anticipated going into that schedule. I'm a bit more skeptical maybe than I was when we first started the podcast of a lot of them. But, I'm willing to be surprised, and I'm excited.
I'll be honest. After going through that, I'm more excited than I was at the beginning. Like,
good. I'm glad.
It's, man, I can't wait to go to the movies.
So, kind of wrap up, and this is a longer special episode, so appreciate you guys sticking with us. But Zach and I do make bets, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, make our predictions as to what we think is going to be the biggest box office successes. As to what the criteria is, we don't have an official one. That's how casual we are, really.
So casual.
Really, just it's more like what movie's going to make the most money that year. We do our biggest flops, again, subjective, based on expected performance, what the budget was, all that. It's not official. Zach, any other awards you want to pick?
I think we should do what highest grossing animated movie this year, do we think? And then sleeper movie of the year. And sleeper is open to interpretation of what that means.
Okay, so is our biggest blockbuster excluding animated movies then?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that. Okay, so Zach, why don't you kick us off? Let's go biggest blockbuster first.
Okay.
I think I know where you're leaning.
You probably do. I'm not gonna lie though. After looking at the whole slate like that, I'm not as confident, but I'm sticking with it. I think Dune 2. I think it's got it doesn't have a lot of competition around it. It has an embedded fan base that's excited to see the sequel. And this could be, I'm saying it could be, before you and I were alive, there was a thing that happened when Star Wars Empire Strike Back comes out in theaters. I think this could be, Dune 2 could be similar to Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back in the 70s. So I'm picking Dune 2. I think it has a really good year at the box office. I think it's not crazy to think this movie people go see again and again, as long as it's as good as we're hoping it is.
It's a good pick. So I cannot pick Dune 2 as either. Now that he has taken that.
Would you have picked it?
No, I would not have.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
I am going Furiosa.
Okay. Interesting.
May 24 weekend. I think it's going to shock a lot of people.
Okay.
So that's going to be my lock for biggest blockbuster.
Okay.
So, biggest bomb.
Oh, this is a tough one because I don't like cheering against movies, right? And even
I do in some cases.
Okay, fair.
If I
But,
was confident Mufasa would not make $1 billion, but I know it will, I would pick Mufasa. I will straight up say that.
But like, I guess for me, I can get happy for like movies I don't like because if a lot of people like a movie or like when a movie becomes an event, right? Like Barbenheimer this year was an event, right?
Yeah.
I can get excited about that. When looking through this slate, sorry, can you bring up the list again? I'm kind of because I think to go into a bomb, it does factor in like what kind of movies it's going up against. Where like if a movie has less competition, that can help it. I think if the bomb of the year comes, you know what? It might. I think it comes in the summer. I this is a tough one. You know what? I don't want to pick this, but I'm going to. I think it might be Craven the Hunter.
Okay.
I just think it's got a lot going against it. There's some it's in August at the tail end of it. People back to school, they're not necessarily in the movie going mode. Not that it has a ton of competition at that time, but I think people might be movied out by that time. And for what probably they spent a lot of money to make, I think Craven the Hunter is going to be my bomb of the year.
Okay, my bomb is Wicked. I don't think it's going to do well. I know.
Interesting.
I know you're going to push back, and I respect it.
No, that's fine.
But it's completely subjective.
Absolutely. Totally.
I'm going to take it. Like I said, if I knew 1 million people weren't going to go see Mufasa, that would be my bomb, but it's just not going to happen.
See, but there's going to be 1 million people that go see Wicked, the musical theater nerds. I
don't think there will be.
Okay, and just sorry, side story. When I went and saw Wicked I had to go for my drama class in high school. Right before I saw it, I got hit by a car. It was one of the most life-changing days of my life when I recognized my own mortality. But that's a side point. Don't go see Wicked because I got hit by a car, but go see Wicked, or people will go see Wicked because they love this story.
We'll see. I'm skeptical.
Okay. You can skip away.
Okay. Lead off with the next one. Sleeper, or animated, whatever one you want to do.
Let's go animated.
Okay.
I think The Lord of the Rings.
You think The Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were going to take the easy one. I'm going for the win here. Despicable Me 4.
No. Okay, that's the thing. I thought about going for Despicable Me 4, but I do think there's enough. Like, we've been craving good Lord of the Rings content, and like Rings of Power did not deliver what we wanted it to. And I think if this Lord of the Rings movie has like, if it has the potential to set up a larger kind of animated Lord of the Rings universe, there's a lot of people that would be all for that. I could see this being a movie people go see again and again. And animation really has been on the rise, in terms of storytelling. And I also think I'm excited to see Middle Earth in an animated, modern day, modern technology animated format.
All right, give me the Minions.
Yeah, you can take it. You can take it.
$1 billion.
All right, well, tell you what, you go first for Sleeper then.
Okay. This one's hard because we have no criteria.
Open to interpretation. Yeah.
But I'm going Beetlejuice too.
Really?
Sleeper.
Yeah, that is a sleeper. Okay. Okay. Interesting. What? Okay, why?
I just think, it's the sequel from a beloved movie 40 years ago, and it's got kind of the up and coming cast with the old veterans together, and it's just I think it's gonna be a hit.
Okay. Okay. Again, sleeper is open to interpretation, right?
Yeah.
This is tough because like a lot of these movies will have big budgets and people go see it and stuff, but I think my sleeper film of the year is Gladiator 2.
Okay. I was thinking about that for my box office.
No, that's one thing. I thought about it for that. It's the movie that made me question picking Dune 2 as my favorite. But I just think that a lot of people don't realize this movie's coming out. And I think it could be one of those movies that like it comes and then people are like, oh, you got to see Gladiator 2. And because like a movie like Gladiator, came out in 2000. There is a large portion of the movie going audience who has not seen it. Yeah. And like kids that they were kids at the time, or maybe they've been born after it was made, and they don't realize how great of a movie this is. And I think this could be a sleeper of like, oh, like, the sequel's really good. Let me go watch the first one. Let me watch the second one again, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. 100%.
Yeah. So again, sleeper open to interpretation, and that's why I'm picking Gladiator 2.
Well, we will see. Again, if there's a lot of release schedule moving, maybe we'll be able to do a mulligan or something mid-year. But for now, they're locked. Picks are locked in.
Yeah.
And that's your 2024 preview. Zach, thanks for joining the couch once again.
Dude, this was awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see everyone next time. Let us know what you're looking forward to this year, what you're hesitant on, and we'll see you all later.
Have a good day, everyone.